Support Wrestle Talk!
Give us a subscribe. AJ Styles shows up on Raw, Shane McMahon shows up on Raw, and most of everyone else from Tuesday nights also shows up on Raw. Move aside, brand split, because I'm Ollie Davis and this is the 23rd of October 2017 edition of Monday Night's Raw, and a bit of Smackdown Live in about 4 minutes. Kurt Angle might not be selling his TLC injuries from the previous night, but he sure is selling Survivor Series, announcing the cross-brand title matches of Alexa Bliss versus Natalya, The Miz versus Baron Corbin, The Shield versus Usos, and Brock Lesnar versus Jinder Mahal. WWE's got a lot of heel champions. Miz, Sheamus, Cesaro, and Curtis Axel interrupted, threatening an Angle beatdown. But because Kurt is now a Shield brother, Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins came down to help. And it also turns out that Angle is a good brother, with him booking Miz, Sheamus, and Cesaro against Dean, Seth, and someone who's still here after TLC, AJ Styles. AJ is the best. He wouldn't do anything to betray the baby faces. The six men had a terrific opener with an incredibly fast-paced end sequence, where AJ pinned Cesaro after a phenomenal forearm. During the celebrations, though, Kane beat up the baby faces, declared himself Raw's only monster, and demanded competition, which brought out the Demon King Finn Balor. Not the Demon Kane, the Demon King. King Kane. Kane King. The Demon Kane King. The big red machine went over both strong and clean, putting away Balor with 3 consecutive chokeslams. Kane's obviously being built up for Strowman's return feud, but that should not be at the expense of Finn, who had a lot of momentum from his TLC match against Styles. This was incredibly short-sighted. Shane McMahon is here, everyone! What a nice, smiley guy. He's the only McMahon that isn't always up to something. He briefly bantered with Kurt about the Raw versus Smackdown theme for Survivor Series backstage. He won't do anything to betray the baby faces. Raw's second hour was the TLC replay. Asuka tapped out Emma in another solid bout, but not spectacular like needed. 2 matches in and Asuka is less over after both. Alexa Bliss cut a hot promo against Green Bay, Mickie James, and AJ and Balor looking longingly into each other's eyes. James shut her up with a Mickey DT. And following the previous night's screwy finish, Jason Jordan beat Elias via DQ, when the Drifter smashed the guitar over Jordan's shoulder. Booker T suddenly decided to be heel here, saying Jason had cheated first by being outside the ring. Booker T was terrible on this show. Raw's entire third hour, however, was admirably used to build Survivor Series, starting with Paul Heyman answering Jinder's Brock Lesnar challenge. He didn't praise Lesnar's opponent like he usually does, though. He tore Mahal down instead, saying he isn't on Brock's level. This could go one of 2 ways. Either Jinder slowly proves himself to Heyman and Brock over the coming weeks and valiantly loses to Lesnar at Survivor Series, or he's continually booked like a weak champion and gets a cheating victory over Brock in Houston. Alicia Bayley and Sasha Banks fought in a 3-way to decide the captain for the Raw women's team at Survivor Series. It's a testament to how badly Banks and Bayley have been booked this year that Alicia winning is actually the most interesting option. She was by far the most charismatic here, ringing the bell, brilliantly imitating Bayley, and celebrating with the Green Bay Packers at ringside. Hopefully her crazy gimmick doesn't become too overbearing. Seemingly building a Cruiserweight Survivor Series match, the NWO took on Kalisto's Team Lucha, an assortment of babyface cruiserweights who hopped around like excited elves. Sadly, all their dives, moonsaults to the outside, and Grand Metalik rope walking played to a disinterested crowd. Kalisto pinned Amore to win, when another heel really should have taken the loss. But the best Survivor Series teasing was saved for a very hot main event angle. Just as Kurt was about to announce Team Raw's lineup, Shane McMahon entered through the crowd with the entire Smackdown mid-card, and then cut a promo trying to make Under Siege happen, which will be Michael Cole's infinitely repeated Survivor Series catchphrase this year. Angle hurried off to the back, half confused, half in terror, and Team Smackdown chased after him, brilliantly storming the backstage area, mobbing wrestlers and producers alike in their path. Rusev barking orders on top of a table, Chad Gable going straight for Jason Jordan, the Raw vs Smackdown women, the Shield ambush, an entire roster turning heel out of nowhere, and it was so much fun. won. Shane then told Kurt to bring his gold medals to Survivor Series, where they'll end this, teasing Angle will be wrestling in the Raw vs Smackdown match. So that was this week's Raw in about 4 minutes. Here's the usual ratings recap from top to bottom: in or core, average, poor, and bore. I'll reveal my rating very shortly, but first, vote in the poll above my head to give yours. I'll announce the results in tomorrow's Wrestle Talk news. While the second hour lagged, Balor inexplicably did the job for Kane, and Asuka has not hit the ground running, everything else on this show ranged from very fun to great. The opening 6-man tag was superb, and the invasion angle was genuinely exciting. Even after 6 hours of WWE in a 24-hour period, I want to see what happens next. This week's Raw is core. Did Braun Strowman turn babyface at TLC? And Kevin Owens is taking a leave from Smackdown. Click the videos to the left to find out more, press subscribe, and support Wrestle Talk. Order issue 1 of the Wrestle Talk magazine. I've been Ollie Davis, and that was wrestling.